Hi there, welcome back to the Painter Fairies A. My name is Tiffany and I'm going to be painting this beautiful sunflower with you today, step by easy step. So what you'll need is a cup of water to wash your brushes off in. You'll need a palette with all the paint colors that we're going to be using for this painting, which is red, yellow, white and black. If you guys want to add in a different color like blue, purple or green, you're more than welcome to do that. Embrace your own creativity. So if you guys want to change it up, please feel free to do so. This is just a guideline. Alright, and I normally have a spare mixing palette in case I run out of mixing space, a towel paper or a serviette, and lastly a black canvas. Normally it's white, guys, but I was lucky to get a black one. You can buy them black, but if you do have a white one, just quickly pause this video and go and paint yours black and just wait for it to dry before we actually start painting the sunflower. Right guys, before we jump in, put some background music on, your favorite music, the music that gets you vibing and happy and ready for a party, and grab your favorite drink, whether it be a hot chocolate or a glass of wine, and also get some snacks. Cool guys, then it's time to get creative. So we're going to start guys with just the guidelines. So this is going to also almost act like a pencil. So if you were going to pencil on your painting before painting it, this is how we're doing it. So please don't worry if you're not getting the perfect shape. Use this opportunity to correct it before we actually start filling it in. Okay, so I'm taking some yellow and I am adding a bit of white. The white just makes the color pop and it helps cover the very dark background. So always remember guys, if you have a dark background and you want a color to stand out, add a bit of white. Okay. Right guys, so we're going to start with this half circle over here. So you're just going to guesstimate it with your eyes, and when you're ready, just simply paint it in. And then guys, as I mentioned earlier, this is like your penciling stage, this is your planning stage. So if you look at the circle and you're not happy with it, you want it a bit bigger, this is the place and the time to do that, to change it a little bit. So then I would go a little bigger and maybe a little rounder. Okay. Right guys, and then it's into the petals. So some more yellow with some white. I haven't washed off my brush, I'm still using the same color, same brush. And now I'm going to paint in the petals. So guys, I want you to have a look at the shape of the petal. It starts off at the bottom with a belly and it goes up narrow to a point. Okay, so as long as you've got that, you're pretty good to go. Some of my people do get a little confused and they make it sort of narrow here, going out wide, going narrow again. So just remember, the closer it is to the center, the bigger, the broader, the fatter your petal is, and then it goes into a point. Okay, so over here, this one here, we're gonna just do that. So it comes out, makes like a belly, it's a little fatter, and then it goes up. Right guys, I'm gonna grab some more paint, same, just the yellow and white. Okay, and then I'm going to do one right next to it. So remember, it's broad and it sort of comes out at the bottom and then it goes up into a narrow point. So right next to it. Okay, and guys, you're just going to carry on with this until you've got a full sunflower. So we've got the next one. Okay, once you've got the gist of it down, it's quite easy and it just flows. Okay, so even guys, if you want to, maybe practice on a piece of paper before going into it with the paint, but you can fix. Paint is very forgiving, you can fix as you go. Okay, and it goes to a point. Remember guys, it doesn't have to be perfect. Art is not perfect, and I believe everything that's perfect is boring, so does not need to be perfect. Okay, and then my last little one over here, it's going to go off the canvas. Okay guys, and you see here I've done what I've actually said we shouldn't do. I've almost got the belly at the top here, but it's fine. Later on I'll just bring in a bit of black and I'll just take it in over there and just neaten it up again. Alright guys, so we're going to do the in-between petals. So that's these ones in between your big petals. They're smaller, okay, so that's the first thing you need to notice, is they are smaller. They come out behind, so they are in the middle, okay. And again guys, you start with the broader part at the bottom, up, okay. So just remember this, the point of this petal doesn't exceed the point of this petal, so it doesn't go past it. So that's a good like reference, knowing that you're on the right track. Okay, so it's just got a funny sort of shape, but as long as you guys know, as you're coming out, you're going back in. You come out and you go back in. Alright, and then we've got one more over here. And now, actually, this is covering up my imperfection that I was so worried about. And that's perfect. Cool. Right guys, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to give it a plain flat coat. So if you want to, you can use your big brush for this because it's big surface area. I like to use both my big brush and my medium brush. My medium brush especially for when I'm at the tip, because my big brush might just go outside the lines and I don't want that. So you can just use what is comfortable for you. Experiment with your different brushes, guys. Don't feel like you have to stick to one brush, okay? Okay, so I'm adding some white in here because again, we want it to cover up the dark background, okay? And just gonna paint that on. And you guys are going to cover all the petals. What I do suggest is that the petals in the front, the bigger petals, are all a little lighter than the back petals, because as you can see here already, those petals are actually darker because they're behind, there's a bit of a shadow falling on them. Right. Okay, so you're just going to cover that in. Guys, this is just our first coat, so don't worry too much if it doesn't cover really well. But if you do battle with coverage, just remember to add some white on your brush. The white really helps with coverage. I'm adding some more white into my yellow. I love the sound the brush makes on the canvas. It is so therapeutic. Makes me calm. Okay guys, so you can really fill this in roughly. It doesn't have to be a top to bottom kind of stroke. As long as you're getting most of the coverage, as long as you're covering most of it. And then right at the end, once you're happy with the look that you've got, the coverage you've got, then you can go and just neatly neaten up your brush stroke. So then I would go from top to bottom in one continuous brush stroke. Okay, so you guys will see that it's not perfectly covered, and that's fine because we're going to be doing a second coat with all the detail. As long as we've just got a more or less coverage. Okay, and now I'm going to move to my medium brush, guys, because I'm going to smaller petals, and I also just want to neaten up the points of my sunflower. Places where I couldn't get in with the big brush. Guys, if you do get to this point and you realize, oh, but my petal is too short or something like that, you could definitely go and lengthen it. You just add to the tip, and I always just keep it in the middle. If I want to bring my petal out a little bit, I keep it in the middle and I just push it out ever so slightly. Okay. Right guys, so now I'm going to the back petals, and I'm just going to use just plain yellow. I'm not mixing it with white. Let's see what it does. If it doesn't give me good coverage, then I would encourage that we add some white in there, but if the coverage is not bad, we can just stick to regular yellow. Okay, so it doesn't look too bad for a first coat. And then what's really important with the sunflowers is your points, guys. These tips. Often as some petals are done with like a round tip, and it just looks better with a bit of a sharper tip. So if something doesn't look right, possibly it could be that. Okay. This one looks a little strange. I'm just going to fix it up a little. There we go. Okay, the white definitely helps with the coverage. So if you guys are battling to cover the black background, just add in a bit of white to your yellow. Okay. Second to last petal. See, I'm just filling it in roughly. And then once I've covered up all the black, then I go in and smoothly cover it again. Okay guys, my very last little petal, here we go. Right guys, so now we're going to fill in the center. We're going to fill it in with quite a light brown. So I'm going to show you guys how to mix a brown, and then we're going to add some white just to lift it up from that black and to help with the coverage, and then we'll go in with a second coat with more detail. Right, so I'm washing off my brush. I think we should actually use the big brush. Quite a big surface area. I'm just washing it off vigorously, guys, otherwise the paint doesn't come off. Oh, and remember to protect your clothes, guys, because acrylic doesn't come off easily. Right, now for our brown, we mix an orange first, okay? So it's going to be a bit of my red, a little bit of red into my yellow, get a nice orange. Okay, this is almost like a tangerine orange. Okay, and then I'm adding in just a smidge of black, guys, a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of black. And you'll see it starts changing to brown. I love it. Actually making your very own colors. Okay, I want a little more black because it's still sort of an orangey. Okay, so there I've got a nice black. I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to bring some on this side over here, and then I'm going to add some white, guys, just to lift it a little. And mine still looks a little orangey. Let's take some more brown into there. Okay, right, guys. When you're ready, you can paint that in. Just cover up the whole circle. If you feel like it's too dark, add some white in and just mix it in on the canvas. You don't always have to mix all your colors. You can mix a lot of them onto the canvas. They mix really well. And that white covers up the black so nicely. I don't see any canvas coming through this color. Guys, so here as well, I encourage you to stand back from your painting a little bit, get some, not perspective, just look at it from a distance. You could even use your phone and take a photo, and that's where you'll realize, is your circle actually a circle? Does it need to go up a little bit? Like, I feel like mine needs to go up a little there. Okay, and these are things that you can fix at this level. When we come in now, we're going to finish off our painting, so we want the basic to be perfect, or to be, yeah, we need to be happy with it. Okay, so you want to fill in everywhere. Guys, if you feel like the big brush, you don't have enough control, grab your medium brush, and it might be a little easier. Okay, so remember, you're not stuck with one brush. Can change it up a little. Okay, so that's just our base coat, guys. We'll come in with more detail after we've done the petals. Okay, so that's basically it, guys. Now is the most important part. We are now going to finish off our petals. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick layer of yellow, just plain yellow. And then as you guys can see in the finished painting, I've got some streaks of brown, but also white. Okay, and to get that crisp white effect, guys, is you don't go over and over and over the color, don't blend it in. You almost want to put it down and then maybe just move it around a little until you're happy with it, and then that's it. Just here and there, not even every petal, well, every petal has it here and there, but yeah, it's not a lot. Okay, but basically what we're aiming for, guys, is full coverage. We don't want to see any lines. We don't want to see the background coming through. We're now going to finish off our sunflower. Alright, I think I need a little more yellow, just plain. So I'm just adding in some bright yellow. And guys, it's up to you what brush you want to use here. I think I'm going to use the medium brush. It might take a little longer, but I'm going to get more precise lines and better coverage. So I'm going to use my medium brush, but do experiment with the other brushes and see what works best for you. Okay, so just with a plain bright yellow, guys, I haven't mixed it with anything. There's no white in here, it's just plain yellow. Alright, and guys, while the paint is wet, that is when you want to bring in your white and your brown. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do my white streak. And I like to do it with the shape of the flower. So if it curves, then my white line is going to curve. Okay. Right, and then I'm going to grab some of the dark brown that I mixed earlier, and I'm just going to bring in a streak here and there. Sure, this is still very orangey, I think. Okay guys, if you've put a streak there and you don't like it, you just keep blending until it goes away. Okay, it does sort of blend in. If that's too much brown, you can always go in and add some more yellow. Okay, and that's what I mean, that the paint is very forgiving. You can constantly change it, constantly analyze, see, oh, there's too much brown, let me soften that up a little bit. Okay, but now I don't have any more white. Let me go and add some white in there. Okay guys, so you get the idea. Right, so we can carry on. Just plain bright yellow again. Try not to go out the lines. Guys, and then I have quite a runny paint, or a runny paint. So if you do have a thicker paint, then you can always add a tiny bit of water just to help it flow a little better. Oh, I just love this bright yellow color, it makes me so happy. Okay. And guys, these two are going to look a little different from one another because I have different paint now. My supplier didn't have the paint that I used for that one, so yeah, it might look a little different, but the principle stays the same. Okay, so I want a few white streaks in there, and I want some brown, so I'm just wiping off my brush, I'm not washing it off. I just want some more black into my orange here, so I can have a darker brown, and not such an orangey brown. Okay, so we've got a nice dark brown in here. Should look a little better. There we go. Okay guys, and also when you bring in these lines, if you feel like the medium brush makes them too big or too broad, go ahead and grab your small brush and make smaller, thinner lines with your smaller brush, alright? Otherwise it's just a very light pressure that you use to apply a few brown streaks. Guys, so I'd wash that brown off. I think the brown I'm going to leave for the last moment, otherwise I'm going to have to wash off my brush and then go back in. I'm just looking at this petal here and I feel like it needs a bit more bright yellow, so I'm just going to bring that in. Okay, so you want to constantly sort of analyze what you're painting and see how can I make it better, what does it need, does it need anything? Okay. Right guys, so I'm going to move on to the next petal. Just roughly going to fill in the yellow. You don't have to be too gentle here. It's just really when we bring in the rest of the detail that we want to be a little more careful. Okay, make sure you got that coverage. Guys, if for some reason maybe your paint's different to mine and it doesn't cover as well, then maybe you want to do a second coat of the white yellow first, that very first coat we did, or yeah, well yes, that's, yeah, so you want to do 2 coats instead of the one, because otherwise you don't want to see that background coming through. Right, so I'm going to go into with a bit of white, just highlight it a little bit. Okay, I don't want to blend too much because I don't want to lose that crisp white. Okay, remember I'm going to do the brown a little later, so I'm going into my next petal. So just covering it up with plain yellow, lovely bright sunshine yellow. Okay, and I'm going in with some white, and I'm just highlighting that petal. Remember guys, the petals in front, we want them nice and bright and light. They need to stand out from the behind petals, the ones at the back. So I might even come in with more white a little later. For now, here and there some white. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that one. Going on to my last light one. Again, just my plain bright yellow. And some white. And you guys see that I'm not blending it too much. Okay, there's still a bit of the crisp white in there. Okay. Okay guys, this is what I mean by crisp white. It's not blended in completely. Okay, I think we need a bit more of that. So I'm just going to bring that through in the rest of my petals. See, I'm blending too much. Like you really just want to pick up your paint and just drop it down. And just have it make a nice crisp white mark. So let's bring in some here as well. And a little in the middle. And over here. Okay. Now guys, all that we need in these front petals are some brown, so I'm going to go in and add that. Okay, so I like to give it a little bit of an outline, but not too much. I never outline my items unless I'm going for sort of an abstract or a cartoony look. But with this, just here and there, you are literally just outlining it here and there. Okay, not everywhere, mostly here where you would confuse some of the petals. You want to define them and make sure they're going to stand out. This one's coming over. So yeah, it's literally just on the sides there, in between. And then guys, we want a little bit of brown. So make sure you don't have too much brown on your brush. And you just want just a little bit of brown marks here and there. Nothing too hectic. Maybe soften up any of those harsh lines if there are. Okay. Oh, that's too much. Okay guys, if it's too much, you try and blend it away. If you can't blend it away, you're just going to grab some more yellow and just go over it. Okay, this is a bit of a solid line, so I just want to soften it up. Right, I'm pretty happy with that guys. I think once I've done the behind petals, we can analyze, look at it again, and then decide, does it need some more yellow, does it need some more white? Alright, so we're going into the back ones, also just a plain coat of yellow. Remember guys, if your second coat is not covering well, then you want to go in with a yellow white, and then just your plain yellow after that. Okay, so these back ones, in their final coat, they get no white. Okay, they've got to be a little darker. Okay, so I'm not getting the coverage I like, so I'm going to move on, and then we'll come back and we'll add some more yellow onto that one, onto these back petals. So we're just really quickly going to give them a second coat. Okay. And the last little one here. Right guys, so I'm going to go in one more time, and this time I'm going to bring in some brown. So you guys will notice here in the complete painting that there's a little bit of brown here towards the bottom of that petal, the in-between petal, and then it sort of fades into the yellow with a couple of brown lines. So that is what we're going to do now guys. You also want your paint to be wet because it just moves better in wet paint. Your brown. Okay, so I'm going to go straight into my brown, and we're going to do some shading here. Okay guys, you need to check sometimes when the paint's too wet, it doesn't really allow you to bring in another color. It sort of moves around and doesn't really take. I hope that makes sense. So just give it some time to dry out, and then you can add in your brown. It does help when the color is wet, but it must also not be too wet because then it just moves around and it doesn't really want to do what we want it to do. Okay. So guys, here with the brown, you are sort of blending the brown into the into the yellow. You don't want it to take the yellow over, but you are blending it in with the yellow. Okay, so it has to be slightly wet, the yellow layer, and then you can spread it nicely into that yellow paint. Okay, so that is a little bit better. I think what's going to really make it pop, guys, is when we bring in those defining lines. So we'll do that at the end. So don't worry too much about that. If we can just get that brown in there. I'm going to bring in a little more yellow just now. I feel like it does need a little more yellow. So all paints are different, guys. You've got to get to know your paint that you're using, and you can't always compare it to what I'm using because different thicknesses, different pigmentations, they all do different things. Okay. Right, so now with the same brush, I haven't washed it off, but there's hardly any brown on there. I'm just going in with my yellow, and I'm just going to bring in a little more brown yellow onto those petals, because that's what we want. And just look at that beautiful coverage. Okay, I'm definitely where I want to be right now. These colors. Covering up the background nicely. And if you had too much brown, guys, you can always come in with that yellow and just cover it up a little bit. Okay, again, guys, you want to sort of look at it from a distance, make sure there's nothing you're missing or that you want to add in. I'm happy with my back petals. I just want to spend some time on the detail of my front ones. I'm going to add in a bit more yellow and some white. So we're going to do that quickly. Just so it really pops. And wherever it didn't cover nicely, just go over that as well. Make sure you got good coverage, make sure you have a nice pointed petal. Okay, don't lose your whites, guys. If you do, just go back in, add some crisp white. Okay, so just here and there where it needs some more paint, I'm gonna add that in. Okay, because remember, guys, you want your front petals to sort of stand out from the back petals. So make them nice and bright, make them light. Okay, now I'm just going to add my last bit of white here and there. Okay, guys, and then we are literally almost done. We're just going to do the center and then we're going to do some defining lines, and then we are going to just, if you have any messes, we're going to fix that up. So for example, if you guys can see these marks here, I'm going to fix that up and I'll show you guys how. Okay, we are nearly there. Okay, yeah, I kind of like that. Okay guys, so for the center here, you can see it's quite a dark brown here. So we're going to mix quite a bit of orange again, and we're going to add a little more black this time. Okay, because you want a nice dark. But I always say add a little bit, analyze your color, see if it's the color you want, maybe try it out on your canvas, because you can always go over it. So first do that. Don't just add a whole lot of black, because then it's just going to be black and not dark brown. Okay, so I'm using my big brush. I've just cleaned it off and wiped it off. I'm going to take some red, I'm going to go into my yellow. Okay, you can go into that brown that you've mixed previously if you're doing what I'm doing. Add some black. Guys, little bit, okay? The dark colors want to take over the world, so I always add in a tiny bit. Okay. It's going to give me a nice brown. Remember, this brown is very different to the brown that I've used there, so it will look a little different. Okay, I want to get all that orange to mix nicely. Maybe add a bit more black. Okay, now you got a nice dark brown. Right guys, I'm going to use my big brush, and I want you guys to notice that I'm using, so let's say this is the flat side, this is the upright side. I'm going to be using the upright side, and this is what I'm going to be doing. Okay, it's almost like dabbing, but it's not dabbing. Bring it a bit closer. So I don't know if you guys can see that, and I'm sort of going over that line. It's a little bit jagged. I hope you guys can see that. Okay. And you guys see that I'm using, okay, at the moment it's flat, but it's like that. Okay, these are, the reason I'm sort of dabbing it is it makes an interesting sort of pattern, and it gives it a bit of texture. So you've got this idea of the center is textured. Where if you look at a real sunflower, it's got a very interesting texture. Alright guys, and once you've done your first line, you're going to go ahead and you're going to do another line. It would be interesting if you keep some of that light brown coming through. You guys can literally do anything. In this one, I've brought in a little bit of yellow and even a bit of white. You can see it over there. So yeah, you guys can do that. But if the creativity takes over and you get another brain wave, then definitely give that a try, guys. Art is all about playing and experimenting and trying new things. Okay, so go ahead. If you guys want to add some black in here as well, you definitely can do that. I think I might just. Okay, but I definitely want to add in that yellow. So I'm going to do that now with the same brush. I haven't washed it off. I'm going to go into some yellow. So I've got some yellow brown. And I'm going to just go around. Like I did that first layer of brown. I'm going to go around. Okay, and I'm even going to be brave and I'm going to add a little bit of white. Just gives it some dimension, guys. It makes it interesting. Okay, art must always be interesting to the eye. Okay, and again, in the middle here, I'm going to add a bit. Wherever you feel like it's too much, guys, simply go in with your brown and just cover it up. Okay, easy peasy. Okay, I'm adding a tiny bit of black into my brown again, make it a nice dark brown. Nice dark brown. And I'm just going in between what I've done just to add some different colors. Okay. Adding some dark brown, almost a bit of black around there. And yeah guys, as soon as you're happy with your center, you can leave that. You can always come back to it later. I'm now just going to finish up with a couple of little small details. So I want to do these defining lines. I want to bring that in over here, and then I'm just going to fix up these mistakes. So I'm using sort of a medium small brush. I'm going to go into my brown and I'm going to roll it, guys. Whenever you're working with a round brush, when you pick up paint, you want to roll it, okay, because it helps with that tip, getting that tip. Okay, so once you got that, go in and start defining your petals. Again guys, we're not outlining the whole thing, just here and there, just to add a little bit of definition. And you want to use a light pressure, and don't let your lines stop dead, sort of have them fade away. Okay, so you just lift up your hand, so you give it a really light pressure. Okay. Guys, don't stress if your lines come out a little too thick. As I mentioned earlier, you can always go in with a bit of white or white yellow or just a bit of yellow and soften that line up. Okay, I'm going to do that just now. Just want to get most of the lines in. Sometimes some thick lines look really nice. They're nice and bold. They keep your art interesting. So you can choose and have a look and see if you like the line and if you rather want to keep it. Okay, I quite like that. I feel like I need a few more brown lines in the front ones, but not too many. So I've got some brown on here. I'm just going to wipe some of it off so that it's not too much. And just here and there, guys, I'm going to add in some really, hopefully, soft lines. Soft lines is the effect I'm trying to go for. My brush doesn't always want to work with me. Okay, so you can always use your finger and just blend it in a little bit. Okay, so just a bit of brown here and there, nothing too hectic. Softening it up with my finger. Okay, running out of brown, so I'm just picking up some more brown paint. Okay, but remember guys, you don't want too much because you don't want your back petals to go missing. Okay, and a little bit here. And maybe some over here. Okay, then I just want to lastly cover this up with a bit of yellow. Make sure I've got my tip. Right guys, and the very last thing that I'm going to do is just fix up my mistakes. So I'm going to go in with some black. Okay, I've cleaned off my brush. I'm still using the medium small brush, and I'm just going to cover up any areas that I've got here outline my petals really nice if they've gone out of their lines. Okay, and then I want to fix it up over here. Alright guys, and the very last thing, if you didn't in the beginning paint your borders, you want to do that so that when you hang it up it looks nice from all angles. There's no white borders, and it's extra canvas, it's bonus canvas for you to paint. And if you love painting, you're going to love painting those borders. Okay, right guys, there I've gone over with the black a little bit too much. I'm going to wash off this paintbrush, and I just want to go in again. You see guys, any mistakes that you make in painting you can always cover up, okay? It's never too late with paint. Okay, and then just again over here. Right guys, so the very last thing, we are done. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. Please do some more with me. I love painting with you guys, I really do, and please do share your paintings with me, whether you WhatsApp it to me or put it on the Facebook community page. That would be really awesome. Share it with everyone else. The very last thing guys is to sign your painting. So you want to take your smallest brush. Some of my painters actually use a marker, so if you have a white marker you could use that as well. But I say, you know what, we are painting, we are artists, so let's just grab some paints. It can be challenging at times, but let's give it a go. And then you just want to mark, sign it in the corner. So I'm just going to say TPA and a beautiful little 2021. And that's it guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Please tell your friends about the Painter Fair online, and I can't wait to paint with you guys again. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely evening or day, whichever time of day it is right now. And I hope to see you back soon. Thank you. Bye.